For some moments neither spoke. Then Paul recurred to what I had just been saying. "And you? Do you think marriage would colour your convictions?" "Would it yours?" "That depends." He was silent. Then he said, in that tone which I had learned to look for when he was most in earnest, "It depends on whether you would marry me." I was still. His words were so unexpected that they took my breath away. I knew not what to make of them. My head was in a whirl. Then he addressed to me a monosyllabic interrogation. "Well?" I found my voice, or a part of it. "Well, to what?" He came a little closer. "Will you be my wife?" The part of my voice which I had found was lost again. Tears came into my eyes. I shivered. I had not thought that I could be so absurd. Just then the moon came from behind a cloud. The rippling waters were tipped with silver. He spoke again, so gently that his words just reached my ears. "You know that I love you." Then I knew that I loved him too. That what I had fancied was a feeling of friendship was something very different. It was as if somebody, in tearing a veil from before my eyes, had revealed a spectacle which dazzled me. I was speechless. He misconstrued my silence. "Have I offended you?" "No." I fancy that he noted the tremor which was in my voice, and read it rightly. For he too was still. Presently his hand stole along the parapet and fastened upon mine, and held it tight. And that was how it came about. Other things were said, but they were hardly of the first importance, though I believe we took some time in saying them. Of myself I can say with truth that my heart was too full for copious speech. I was dumb with a great happiness. And I believe I can say the same of Paul. He told me as much when we were parting. It seemed that we had only just come there when Paul started. Turning, he stared up at Big Ben. Midnight? The house up? Impossible! But it was more than possible, it was fact. We had actually been on the bridge 2 hours, and it had not seemed 10 minutes. Never had I supposed that the flight of time could have been so entirely unnoticed. Paul was considerably taken aback. His legislative conscience pricked him. He excused himself in his own fashion. "Fortunately, for once in a way, my business in the house was not so important as my business out of it." He had his arm through mine. We were standing face to face. "So you call this business?" He laughed. He not only saw me into a cab, but he saw me home in it, and in the cab he kissed me. I fancy I was a little out of sorts that night. My nervous system was, perhaps, demoralised, because, when he kissed me, I did a thing which I never do. I have my own standard of behaviour, and that sort of thing is quite outside of it. I behaved like a sentimental chit. I cried. And it took him all the way to my father's door to comfort me. I can only hope that, perceiving the singularity of the occasion, he consented to excuse me. End of Chapter 23. Recording by Ruth Golding.